For years, the game was a complete ghost, and most people thought it wasn't real. And then, it happened. Silksong was finally here, and the hype was so unbelievably massive. It literally broke the entire internet. While hundreds of thousands of you got to play it instantly, millions more were left staring at a spinning wheel of death. This is the insane story of how the most anticipated game of the decade completely destroyed the world's biggest digital stores. And the community's hilarious, desperate, rage-filled fight to get in. To understand how insane launch day was, you have to understand the 5-year wait that came before it. This all started with Hollow Knight, released by a tiny studio called Team Cherry back in 2017. It was an absolute masterpiece that didn't just become a hit indie game, it became one of the biggest indie games ever, creating a gigantic, passionate fan base. Then, in 2019, Team Cherry announced Silksong. The trailer was incredible, showing off a new character, faster gameplay, a bigger world, and crazier enemies. The fans went absolutely wild, and everyone thought the game was right around the corner. And then, silence. All years, news of Silksong became a complete legend. With every big gaming event, hope would explode. And every single time, there was no news. The despair grew, creating a wild internet subculture. The clown makeup meme was born, where fans would literally make fun of themselves for getting their hopes up again and again. It was a crazy cycle of hype and disappointment that somehow only made the community's bond stronger and the hype for the game more intense. The wait became so legendary that other game developers were literally afraid to launch their games anywhere near Silksong's release date, trying to avoid competing with a phenomenon that huge. This wasn't just a sequel anymore, it was a global event. So when Team Cherry finally broke their silence and confirmed a September 4th, 2025 release date, the internet didn't just celebrate, it prepared for impact. And then the day came. The second the game went live, millions of you rushed the digital stores at the exact same time. It was less of a launch and more of a digital stampede. And the stores we use every day just could not handle it. You guys basically launched a denial of service attack fueled by pure hype. First to go down was the Titan, Steam. The biggest PC gaming store on the planet buckled under the pressure. Players reported that the Silksong page was either gone, showed an error message, or would just fail when you tried to buy it. For a while, thousands of PC gamers were completely locked out. The community immediately started making memes, calling the Steam error page the first boss of Silksong. The demand was so overwhelming that it created a digital bottleneck of historic proportions for an indie game. But the chaos didn't stop there. Over on the PlayStation store, it was just as crazy. Players searching for Silksong found the page, but the option to buy the game was just gone. The buy button was grayed out or completely missing. Imagine waiting 5 years for this, finally seeing the game, only to realize you can't even touch it. The frustration was insane. And of course, the Xbox and Nintendo stores were not spared. Just like the others, they struggled to keep up with the unprecedented demand. Users reported crashes, insane loading times, and purchases that just wouldn't go through. The trifecta was complete. Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox, the three giants of digital gaming, had all been brought to their knees by a $20 indie game that 3 developers had made. It was a groundbreaking display of power. It proved that the passion of you guys could create a tidal wave of traffic that could overwhelm billion-dollar companies. The Silksong launch wasn't a release, it was the stress test for the entire digital gaming ecosystem. It was a moment of pure, absolute chaos, and it perfectly shows the power of a passionate community. And if you want to join a passionate community, why not smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. So as the digital stores sputtered and tried to recover, a huge divide formed in the community. On one side were the outsiders, the thousands of you still frantically refreshing store pages and watching streams of a game you couldn't play. On the other side were the insiders, the lucky few who had managed to break through the chaos. And you will not believe how many people got in. Within the first few hours, the concurrent player on Steam exploded past 500,000. That is nearly 8 times the all-time peak of the original Hollow Knight. This was a record-shattering launch, selling over 5 million copies in its first 3 days. While thousands of you were locked out, a literal city-sized population of players was already exploring Farloom. For the outsiders, it was a crazy mix of frustration and hilarious memes. Social media became a support group for the skunkless, as you called yourselves. You shared tips on how to get the download to start and watched the jealousy as streamers were already finding the game's first secrets. The launch became a massive spectator sport with over 350,000 of you watching Silksong on Twitch at the same time, making it the #1 game on the entire platform. Meanwhile, we started hearing whispers from the inside. Players praised the world and the insane new gameplay. But with all that praise became a huge concern. The game was hard, brutally hard. Even for veterans of the first game, Silksong was a punishing challenge, sparking massive debates on whether it was too hard. In a crazy responsive move, King Cherry saw the feedback and announced just days after launch that a patch was already coming to slightly lower the difficulty of some early bosses. In the end, the servers stabilized, the stores recovered, and every single one of you who wanted a copy of Silksong eventually got it. But the memory of that insane launch day will be remembered in gaming history forever. It was more than just a testament to the unbelievable hype for one game. It was a powerful demonstration of what a passionate community like you can do. The fact that a tiny indie team made something so loved that its release momentarily broke the entire infrastructure of giants like Steam, Sony, and Microsoft is absolutely extraordinary. It speaks to the incredible legacy of Hollow Knight and the years of hype that you all channeled into one single moment. The memes, the frustration, the shared suffering, and the victory are finally getting in. It all become part of the game's story. The launch wasn't a failure, it was a proof of a historic success. It was the physical manifestation of hype, a digital monument to the love and dedication of millions of fans. It reminded the entire industry that you don't need a $100 million budget to create a phenomenon. You just need a masterpiece. And now I have to ask you, what was your launch day experience? Were you one of the lucky ones who got in immediately? Or were you stuck on the outside smashing the refresh button with the rest of us? Share your story in the comments below. I've been your host Charlie K, and as always we'll see you on the next level.